Hello. Carbon credits, carbon trading, emissions trading, carbon offsets. You've heard all the terms flying around and the buzz. So what's it all about in plain terms? Well, that's what I'm going to explain to you today. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer on the need to cut greenhouse gas emissions, the fact remains that scientists around the world continue with their warnings, and more importantly, governments have taken their views on board and continue to introduce legislation to help the world stop polluting the atmosphere in order to save the planet from possibly dire consequences. So, whether you're in or out on whether it's justified, it's just not your call, it's just happening. But whichever camp you're in, you've got a great opportunity to make money and save the planet at the same time, if it's your thing. We've all heard of global warming. The Earth's temperature has increased, sea levels have risen, ice caps have melted, and extreme weather conditions have been recorded for the past few decades. But again, whether you think it's because too many greenhouse gas emissions have been released into the atmosphere due to human activity, or whether you think it's part of the Earth's natural cycle, think Ice Age, measures are being introduced by governments around the world to slow and possibly reverse the process. Because saving and making money is more important to a lot of people than actually saving the planet, a global market-based approach has been introduced to reduce emissions. So a carbon credit is the financial instrument that represents 1 metric tonne of greenhouse gas that has been prevented from being released into the atmosphere. These credits, rather like stock certificates, are generated by any company that has been officially recognised as having produced the technology to reduce, store or avoid this amount of pollution from being emitted. So projects like wind farms, solar energy, reforestation, recycling, etc. are all good examples of this. So why should you be excited about it, and how can you make money out of it? The answer is simple. There's a good snapshot on the screen showing different examples of carbon credit trading, but the basic principle is this. Some entities produce more pollution than they are permitted and have to purchase carbon credits to offset them in order to comply. Others produce less and can trade the credits from the emissions that they have stopped producing to any entity that needs to purchase credits to comply. There are basically two markets, the compliance market, which was born out of the Kyoto Protocol, and the voluntary market, which operates outside the Kyoto regime. The voluntary market is the one you should get excited about in particular, and here are a few reasons why. In Europe, there's already an emissions trading scheme in place, the EU ETS, which started in 2005 in compliance with Kyoto, but a similar system is still a work in progress in America, which is one of the world's largest polluters. Since Obama started his presidency, he's made it very clear on many occasions that tackling climate change is at the top of his agenda, since he has pledged that the US will collectively reduce its emissions by 25% of the levels in 2005 by the year 2020 and a staggering 83% by the year 2050. He's going to have to put a price on carbon to incentivize their biggest polluters, which will significantly broaden the already booming marketplace. Australia already have their own program, and China has recently announced the launch of its own cap and trade scheme, which will kick off in 2012, increasing the pressure on America even further. General opinion is not if this system will be introduced by the US, but rather when. In addition to the point on America introducing their own system, another point is the Kyoto Protocol failed to be extended beyond 2012 at last year's Copenhagen meeting. This could mean that the compliance credits may no longer exist, and carbon trading platforms have already noted a significant rush to purchase more voluntary credits to mitigate this possibility and diversify portfolios. But here's what the experts are saying. The New York Times this year said, "Carbon trading is one of the fastest growing specialities in financial services." Barclays Capital, "Carbon will be the world's biggest commodity market and it could become the world's biggest market overall." The CFCT Commissioner, "Carbon trading may dwarf that of crude oil within 5 years, worth $2 trillion. President Barack Obama, There is no better potential driver that pervades all aspects of our economy than a new energy economy. That's going to be my #1 priority. Fortune recently said, JP Morgan isn't alone. All the big global investment banks, including Barclays, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch, are hurrying into carbon finance. Head of emissions trading at Merrill Lynch in London said, carbon could become one of the fastest growing markets ever, with volumes comparable to credit derivatives inside of a decade. And very recently, Barclays plc, October 2010, quoted, United Nations carbon credit prices may rise as much as 42% by 2012.